So hello and welcome back to Go Again Gaming. My name is Az, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my top 3 predictions for the Tales of Aria product set that is going to be announced or spoiled on the 27th of July. So head over to the Flesh and Blood website to see what that is. I'm very much excited, very much looking forward to it. Before we go into it, please make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the little bell notification if you do want to be notified of any future videos. And if you're a UK Flesh and Blood player, then check out my affiliate link with the card vault in the description box below and use the affiliate code GoAgainGaming to receive 3% off your order. That applies for Flesh and Blood sealed products and Ultra Pro accessories to sleeve your card. So definitely go and check that out if you are in the market for a box. That will help the channel directly. So yeah, my predictions, speculations on Tales of Aria. So yeah, I've had a look at a few things with regards to the spoilers that we've seen from internal correspondence, and obviously the Aria setting and lore and all that sort of stuff. And I've come up with a few things that I think could be good shouts, but I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions as well. So leave a comment in the section below as to what you think we would see from Tales of Aria, or whether you think my predictions are absolute garbage. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So leave a comment section below. So the first one, I think we will see a talent based on the flow. So the flow is like a magical, ethereal, spiritual, live stream-esque force that shapes and sculpts the world of Aria. So I think we're going to see something along the lines of a hero or class that can tap into that ethereal power. So I think we will see a talent based on that. And I think talents are going to become more and more sort of common as time goes on. I think Monarch was really the stepping stone into all of the stuff that we're going to see in the future with Flesh and Blood, because we've only had 2 talents so far. We've had Light and Shadow, so with talents they can pretty much go absolutely anywhere, and then you can stick on classes on the end which might not have had access to cards that talent had before, and it just opens up loads of options and loads of opportunities for heroes to be absolutely awesome and thematic, depending on what set you're doing or what theme you want to achieve. But yeah, I do think there's going to be a new talent based on the flow. So maybe that's some sort of ethereal class or spirit class, or I don't know what the flow is, like a weird mystical magical force that sort of sculpts the landscape of the world. So maybe the class or the talent, sorry, would be called mystical something, or ethereal something. But yeah, that's my first prediction. I think we're going to find a talent based on the flow, which is the magical force that sculpts and shapes the world of Aria. And obviously it's a massive part of the lore. Maybe there's foreign invaders that are looking to harness the flow's power. That could be maybe part of the storyline, or some sort of demonic force or monsters that are trying to disrupt the flow to try and change Aria into something that it's not supposed to be. The flow is a massive component to the lore of Aria, so I do think it's going to come under attack by something, or it's going to be under threat by something. And I do think there's going to be heroes and classes that do tap into that power of the flow, because obviously it's very, very vital to the world of Aria. So yeah, a talent based on the flow is my first prediction for the set. My second prediction is I think we're going to see an illusionist in this set. I mean, it would be easy to say, we're going to see a bard, because the Everfest Carnival is always going on, and there's always performers and all that sort of stuff going on in the Everfest Carnival. So a bard is another good shout, and a ranger is another good shout, because we had the spoiled art for the lady in the ranger outfit with the bow. So a ranger is another good shout, but I do think illusionist is also a good sort of off-the-wall third choice, but I'm going to predict here today I think we're going to see an illusionist. And this is because there is a bit of lore surrounding the flow that sort of mirrors what an illusionist would do with the flow. So if you look at the Flesh and Blood website, there's a bit of lore on the flow itself, and underneath the lore on the flow there's another piece of lore called Cesari or Kazari. I don't know how you pronounce it, but Cesari are ethereal creatures born of magic that fade in and out of existence based on the ebb and wane of the flow. And while they appear sentient, Cesari are mirages, mere echoes of ancient beings that once called Aria home. So that sort of statement there, you know, goes to show that there are sort of illusions, mirages coming out of the flow, and that sort of alludes to me that we could get like an ethereal illusionist or a mystical illusionist. Whatever they want to base their talent on, they can then put an illusionist on the back of that as well, which I think would be not only a bit of hindsight, because obviously we've got an illusionist in Monarch, but I do think an illusionist would also be prevalent in this set as a result of that sort of flavour that we've just read out there. And it makes sense, you know, obviously the Cesari are sort of ethereal creatures born of that flow magic, but they don't actually exist, and hence are an illusion, or a mirage, which doesn't really exist. It's just something that you're making up because you're dehydrated, or you know, you're absolutely sweating buckets like I am now because it's so hot at the moment. I'm seeing mirages. But yeah, I think illusionist is a strong shout. And again, we saw illusionist cards in Monarch, but most of those were light illusionist. So we didn't really see many generic illusionist cards. So I think we're going to get more illusionist cards fleshed out in this particular set. And it would make sense because illusionists that can sort of control the Cesari, which are those ethereal creatures, you know, that is where my sort of evidence of and sort of illusionist is coming from. So I think that's a good shout. But yeah, I think Monarch in general, again going back to an earlier point I made, I think Monarch in general was a stepping stone to see what they could do with the game and just experiment with all these like talents and other things as well, which I'm going to get onto in a minute. But yeah, I think I make a strong case for the fact I think illusionist will be in there. But I could be completely and utterly wrong, but this is where I am getting at. So the next prediction I think is that we will see a new landmark card in this set. Now, there was the first landmark card ever in Monarch, and I think we will see another one in Tales of Aria. So the first landmark card ever was the Great Library of Solana, and I think we will see more landmark cards going forward. And I think the landmark card in this set will be Eisen's Peak. So Eisen's Peak is a massive mountain in Aria, and despite the passing of time, it remains untouched by the passage of the flow, as if exempt from the transformations that affect the rest of Aria. So in Aria, the flow sculpts and shapes every single thing. You know, it turns mountains into rivers, and you know, there's loads of lore on how the flow affects the environment around it, but there is one huge pulsating landmark in the middle of Aria that remains untouched by the flow for whatever reason. And I think that makes a landmark card extremely likely, because Tales of Aria is going to be about the flow, isn't it? I think, and the flow is such a vital component in Aria's lore that I think it is going to come under threat by something. It is going to be compromised, and I think there is a secret or a mystery surrounding Eisen's Peak as to why it has remained untouched by the flow, and the flow can sculpt and shape and destroy and morph everything around it. Why is Eisen's Peak so special? We will find out on the landmark card, or at least that is my prediction. I think we will see a landmark card. I think maybe a landmark card in every set, apart from the supplementary sets. I think we might see a landmark card in every set now, because obviously it just opens up that sort of extra chase rare that you can sort of, if you pull out of a booster, you can be like, oh my goodness me, I just pulled a Great Library of Solana. Oh no, I've just pulled an Eisen's Peak. What am I going to do with my life? Sort of thing. So yeah, I do think this is a good chance to add another landmark card in. I don't know whether we see landmarks, getting played. Do we see landmarks getting played in the meta? I haven't really spent enough time in the meta to see, but do we see it being played? I mean, if someone has it, I guess they might play it, but it's so chased that I think they're going to sort of capitalise on that and put more of these things in there. to sell boxes, and why wouldn't you? You know, because it's just a great feeling to pull those cards out. But I'm going massively off topic now. But I think Aizen's Peak will be a landmark card in the Tales of Aria set. What do you think? You know, I think in Monarch they alluded with a lot more ideas that we're going to see going forward, like talents, like landmarks. I think they were experimenting with a lot of things in that set that we're going to see more of going forward, because Monarch was obviously a massive success. So that's good. But yeah, I think that's my top 3 predictions. So we're going to see a talent based on the flow. We're going to see an illusionist, obviously accompanied by a ranger or a bard, potentially. That's the safe choice. And then we're going to see a new landmark card. I believe it's going to be Aizen's Peak, because it's going to hold the key as to why it's untouched by the flow. Maybe the enemies or whoever's the bad guy of the set or the story maybe wants something there, or wants to investigate it because it's untouched over the passage of time. Who knows? But that's my 3 predictions. And another bit of speculation here as well that I will throw in is I believe we're going to see a lot of cards, or albeit maybe a smattering of cards, that care about manipulating the top of your deck or the bottom of your deck and drawing cards. Now, what I mean by this is, again, if you go onto the Flesh and Blood lore section for Aria, there is a craft in Aria called Dreamer. So there's dreamers in Aria, and a dreamer is a person with a natural born gift, the waking sleep. It's a state in which dreamers can glimpse fragments of the past, the present, and the future, and for some, visions can come to them even when they're fully awake, catching glimpses of what might be and echoes of those who came before. So that sort of lore there, I think, would make a really, really sort of interesting mechanic or smattering of cards which cares about manipulating the top of your deck or the bottom of your deck, or just drawing more cards from the top or the bottom of your deck. So if you could see into the past or see into the future, you can either manipulate the top of your deck or the bottom of your deck. And if you can manipulate the bottom of your deck, that means that cards that you pitch will be immediately available to you because they end on the bottom of your deck, so you can have access to them again. So I think that would be a fantastic design space for cards, to be able to access both the top and the bottom of your deck, or rearrange the top or bottom of your deck. So, because then it tells you what's coming, and it tells you what's been before. So that sort of relates to that lore that we've just gone into there with regards to what the dreamers can do. So yeah, I think there's going to be a few cards that that deal with that sort of card manipulation style mechanic. And that also feeds into the set's name, Tales of Aria. So Tales of Aria could be, stuff that's happening now, in the past, the present, or the future. Tales of Aria could be a tale that's been long gone, a huge legend. A tale of Aria could be something that's happening right now, or a tale or a prophecy of something that's happening in the future. So I think they're manipulating the cards thing, whether that's from the top or the bottom of your deck, or just drawing cards from the top or the bottom of your deck, would be a great thing to get into in this particular set. But I could be completely wrong. Let me know what your comments and thoughts are on this set, and whether you agree with some of my points, whether you disagree with some of my points. Leave a comment in the section below, and we will see you on the next Flesh and Blood video. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Peace.